NBA slate. It's look, we got the big $1 million air tournament tonight. I'm gonna do 2 entries. I won one. I decided to pony up for the other one. I am selling it over on Stake Kings, but it's my birthday, so I'm going with the good luck birthday narrative. Hopefully, what could go wrong? Anyway,
you guys better hurry and grab that because I am right now on Stake Kings.
There'll be plenty to grab. I just posted.
We got going there. What's the? What's the monster? Is that FanDuel?
The monster is yeah. I'm just putting it up there because I'm probably gonna play 3 or 4 in there. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, we're you know what we're gonna do then? We gotta go 42-42.
There we go. 42-42. That's right.
42-42. Because that's how old Bobby is. 4,242 years old. That's it. So I'm gonna play both of those, $42.42. So yeah, I am going to be confirming my 0.726 or something like that percentile. And yeah, this is the Bobby birthday narrative. So we're going to be doing a live. Well, I am at least going to be doing a live sweat at 11 o'clock tonight. I'm going to go through lobbies, and whoever's doing well, I'm going to be just focused on the lobbies. I'm not going to tilt my own lineups. Not going to tilt anybody's that aren't alive, or I'm not going to even worry about how I did if I didn't do well. I'm just really focused on who's winning, trying to make it somewhat entertaining. If anybody out there, is deep in anything, feel free to come on in there. And as usual, just because it's kind of routine now, even though it's like a tiny little slate, I'm going to do a PGA lineup build for the 20-person Hero World Classic.
Nice.
Just because it's what I do over there.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, I'm going to be doing something that I don't think I've ever done in DFS in PGA, and I just can't help it because there are only 20 golfers, and you have to get unique somehow. I'm going to have to play the lowest owned player on the slate, and it will be Tiger Woods. So I'm finally going to be, and even though like you think people play Tiger Woods, even with that, I still think he's going to be probably one of the 2 lowest owned on the slate. So I am going to be trying that. And look, in the name of being unique, that's good. And in the name of getting good karma for having some Tiger Woods tickets, that's good. So we're going to be doing that also tonight. But I am a little bit unprepared only because, again, I was just really busy. I didn't get out of the house until a little late. I had to go to the bank or whatever. But I did run at least a Sabre Sim build. And I didn't even update my projections yet. But I think I'm equipped enough to at least help with the early breakdown for today.
It's going to be a very tough slate. I fiddled around yesterday and today with like a bunch of different builds, and it is not easy.
Okay.
Anyway, so we can go game by game. I think it's probably the best thing. And also we have to remember, like, there's a couple teams on back-to-backs tonight, but there's also some teams that have back-to-backs coming up tomorrow. So just in the interest of pointing everything out, I wanted to let people know, like, we'll hit on those as we come up. What do you have first here? The Washington Orlando?
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you start us off?
I guess I'll just start. I'm just kind of looking at what I would think instinctively before I even ran anything, this would be a spot that I'd want to go after just because Washington usually is a team you want to target. And I think I know what type of guys I want to play from Orlando. And then when I ran a Sabre Sim build, I was getting some of it. But like not the guys I thought. I'd be getting a decent amount of Franz Wagner, but I'd be getting like both of the bigs from Orlando, like Jonathan Isaac right now. I'm getting if I ran my builds right now, I would be getting 71% of Jonathan Isaac at 4,100. I don't even know if he's playing. He's like questionable. And then also the other big, Moritz Wagner, I'm getting some of him as well. So between both Wagners and Jonathan Isaac, I'd be getting those, but I would like to think that the other Orlando should be in play because with Fultz out, you do have like Anthony and Suggs, just those two. Now they did move the prices up on these guys, especially on Anthony, so maybe he's not going to project well enough. But overall, it looks as though like the Orlando bigs is where I'm getting here. And on the Washington side, go right back with the other big, the Daniel Gafford at 5,800. So. And then I'd be getting a little bit of Koulibaly, but he doesn't look that great, but that's what I'm getting right now. So right off the bat, I think this is a pretty decent game.
Yeah. everybody on Washington outside of Gafford is just sort of meh for me. And Gafford like does have a range of outcomes, but he can really like smash this price. Like this is a reasonable price for him. We don't have a lot of other stuff here. They're going to play one of Batatze or Mo Wagner most of the game, or you're mentioning Isaac, but I think it's going to mostly be Batatze and Mo Wagner. And Gafford is, look, so I would imagine he'll the minutes. They don't feel secure because they do this thing when Koulibaly plays where every now and then they just let Koulibaly play and they go small. And it does worry me a little bit, but at high ownership for Gafford. But initially, yes, Gafford is a guy who you look like you would be playing in cash at the moment. On the Orlando side, I have everybody, and this is sort of a typical thing for Orlando. Really good basketball team, very spread out. Obviously, Paolo and Franz are the two best players on the team, but they have talent elsewhere. Suggs has been awesome. Cole Anthony, can light it up. He actually might be the most like dynamic of any of these guys, just in terms of having one of those kind of games. But nobody who really stands out. And I guess we'll get some more. I think Isaac's probably going to play, but like imagine if he doesn't, maybe Mo Wagner and Batatze look a little bit better. If he does play, I'm kind of interested in speculating on him in this type of matchup. I mean, this guy will play 16 minutes. And he'll go out there and end up with like 28 fantasy points, like against Washington, it feels like. Yeah. So I think that all of Orlando's questionable. And I think that, one of Franz or Paolo is a completely fine way to go to me. But as of right now, I just have them all as a question mark because I've got whenever I have interest in like 8 guys from a team, but I don't want to stack I don't want to necessarily play them all together. It makes me feel like I have to sort of narrow it down. So at first look, I'm just going to say that I'll probably have guys from Orlando on my big buy-in lineups. But I don't know which ones yet. If I had to lean anywhere right now, it'd be Franz and Paolo, maybe the Isaac value. Moving on, what do we got next?
Next, Lakers in Detroit, and I have an opinion here. It's not particularly tied to anything analytical, but that was, I'm pretty sure, the Lakers' worst loss in either in history or pretty damn well close.
Can I throw a great stat out at you that I read last night? Yeah. So that was the Lakers. That was the worst loss in LeBron's history, and he was 38 years, 333 days old. Okay, Michael Jordan, it was a 44-point loss. Michael Jordan had his worst loss at 38 years, 333 days old, and it was a 44-point loss. I just thought that was kind of anyway.
Well, I don't know if anybody played Michael Jordan in DFS today after that, or how he did, but I'm down with this one. This is what top 2 athletes are like all about, and I'm going to take a shot. So I like LeBron here in the spot, and that's pretty much all I have to say about that. On Detroit, Jaden Ivey is just too cheap again. He's playing 33 minutes at 5,700. And pretty good point per minute as well. So I can't see a reason to not play him as well, except for, I guess, for ownership, I suppose. Other guys in Detroit, Cade Cunningham, always going to look okay. Osir Thompson maybe at 6,500. So I'll play the Pride game here. I'll play the LeBron game here, and I'll throw him.
Yeah, I love what you're pointing out here. One thing that does worry me a little bit is that the Pistons are really bad. The Lakers are only 7-point favorites, but it's not like I like LeBron when they need him to lift him up to over the top. You know what I mean? I do like the idea of one of LeBron or AD at super low ownership. I don't know how we're going to get to them exactly yet, but we'll figure something out maybe. But I like those two. The more natural, I think, plays in this game are probably one of Russell or Reeves. And I would lean a little bit Reeves just because he's going to be lower owned. He has multiple position eligibility, unlike D'Angelo. And I think he actually has I don't know. I think they're very similar ceilings and how often they get there. I think they're very, very close. Jaden Ivey is a staple. If you're building lineups right now, he's a cash game lock. Basically, you're playing him in most of your lineups. Probably if you're starting right now, I think. I think Osir Thompson is my next favorite, but the guy who won't be owned at all that I think is interesting, and I just want to point out, centers have been torching the Lakers lately, just torching us. The Anthony Davis has been getting massacred. Jalen Duren, this is a tough kid who's really athletic, who actually is built. he's like a little bit like a younger AD, but stronger. Maybe he's an interesting get weird tournament play to throw back with a LeBron and Reeves or something. I think this is an interesting little game to go after because the Lakers haven't like exactly been pasting people on the road. And if the game stays close, you're going to have some fantasy goodness on both sides because neither team is overly impressive defensively, in my opinion. So I like this. All right, let's get rid of this guy. We're going to block and report you. Okay. He's talking about you, not about me. Really nice to come in on my birthday, though, and start doing this. Just immediately we get the trolls. All right. Next up, you Phoenix, Toronto?
I have Phoenix, Toronto.
All right. What do you got here?
Yeah, I have Nurkic as a good play here for Phoenix. And then I have Siakam as well from Toronto. I mean, neither of them, I imagine would be like great values. But right now, I'm getting like a good amount of both of them. Like I'm getting like my early runs, like 50% Nurkic for some reason, and not as much Siakam actually. But why am I getting so much Nurkic? Does he look good today? Or
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I think
that's what I'm getting right now.
Yeah, I think that he's like totally fine. Yeah, so Toronto is on a back-to-back and with travel. They played in Brooklyn last night. The prices make it tough, but in reality, I think that the truth is that Devin Booker especially is being way under projected. I think his median should be about 49 or 50, not 44 or 45. I think Devin Booker is going to make a case to I mean, look, if he hadn't missed the beginning of the year, I think he'd have a really legitimate shot at making an MVP push this year. He's the best player on Phoenix. I don't care that Kevin Durant's there, and I think that Devin Booker is a very interesting tournament play. I actually think Durant is a mildly interesting tournament play too. Don't forget, little bit of weird revenge. You know, I mean, it was the year they all got hurt. It wasn't their fault, but they did lose to the Raptors in the finals. Golden State when Durant was there. On the Toronto side, I sort of was like when I was building yesterday, I was sort of building with the idea that somebody was going to sit. These guys tend to play minutes, but it's a little different without Nick Nurse, so kind of hard. What I would say is that when we start getting Siakam at 8,400 and Scotty Barnes at 8,700, and one of them is going to be like double-digit owned, the other one's going to be 1% owned. Yeah. If the 1%er is going to be especially Scotty Barnes, I think we should really be looking at these kind of plays. And I just think like I don't have any priority from this game. I think Schroeder is fine. I think Anunoby's fine. But I really think Scotty Barnes, if his ownership stays so low, which it probably will, might be if you play Booker and Scotty Barnes on the other side instead of the other stuff we might do today, you're just going to be so unique. I don't know if I actually have it in me to pull that trigger, but I could definitely see it working out. So I'm gonna have to revisit Toronto a little bit later because I sort of have like Podol and Anunoby, Schroeder, and Siakam looking like good, point per dollar plays. And then Scotty Barnes, for some reason, has a 37 fantasy point projection, which just is the most absurd thing in history. The guy averages 48 a game or 47 a game or whatever. Why would he have a median in a plus matchup? Even on a back-to-back, he's actually been good on back-to-backs. It makes no sense to me, his projection. So if it stays that low, I'm going to probably end up with some Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, so we're going to probably have to eventually turn this into premium only if we're going to get a full influx of these smoking crack comments and Sheet Steals Money comments. I mean,
yeah, it's just ridiculous. This whole I don't understand what got into people today and why they're doing it. They probably know it's my birthday and decided to come and torture us for that. Anyway, whatever. We can move on. Sorry about that, Sheets. Ridiculous nonsense.
So Utah, Memphis. This is where my early builds are dragging me to.
Mm-hmm.
Like a whole bunch of these three Memphis guys at the top: Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Aldama. Now the Utah side, Markkanen is out, so I guess those other guys are supposed to be in play again, like the Santina and Clarkson, if he's even in. Keontae George, 6,100. I guess that's okay. I would expect to get, more Utah guys, but right now I'm just not. Why are all these Memphis guys look so good today? I'm not sure.
Well, it's because they don't have anybody. It really is. I guess that's the best way to answer it. Yeah, this is again what looks like the best spot for me too. I actually think like playing the fringier stuff. Utah's not going to project well because they have so many bodies, but the reality is like 3 guys are probably going to get there because there's no Lowry tonight. And Clarkson and Olynyk are both questionable, by the way. Don't be surprised if something happens with that. So Keontae George is the most obvious play for me. You're 7 thin, but I like the idea of Kessler off the bench. I just don't think anyone's going to play him. And he's been getting his uptick in minutes. I don't really care that he's not starting. If he was starting, like the other day, he would have been like 40% owned or 30% owned, whatever it would be. Instead, he ends up like 1% owned. I think we're going to see the same thing tonight. So those are the main. I might revisit the Clarkson thing if he plays because I do think Utah is going to need somebody to score. It's going to be one of Clarkson, Sexton, or THT that might stand out in that realm. And then Fontecchio for value, I guess. I think Desmond Dane is the best play on Memphis. I don't think I'm shocked and doing anything shocking there. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is the second best play. I think Santi Aldama is the third best play. I think both Derrick Rose and Jacob Gilyard are in play. I think that everyone will go Rose. I don't know that I would do that. I might lean more Gilyard myself. But really, like they're so short on bodies. It could be Zaire Williams night. We're going to have a hard time knowing without a starting lineup. But this seems like the natural game that you want to stack, and there's a lot of different ways you can do it. But I would like to see get some sort of an idea of what they're doing with the starting lineup before I make any commitments. Unfortunately, we may not have that. We might hear some coach speak. We might hear some whatever about who actually will be playing because. And I'll just do a little tracking of their old games. I think Rose was out, then he came back. I just got to do a little bit more digging. But yeah, this is at a low total even. I still think a game that we want to probably be after a little bit tonight.
How again are you prioritizing Utah guys if you were going to stack a game?
So if I was going to do it, I would go. If I was going to stack the game, I would go Keontae George 1, Clarkson 2, probably Fontecchio for the value, and then John Collins maybe. But I like the idea of getting one of. If I did a full like stack, if I played like Bane and Triple J and Aldama, I would like to. I think I would like to play one of Clarkson, THT, or Sexton and live with the results. My lean would be Clarkson because I know the minutes are secure. Obviously, he's more expensive. If I didn't have the money, I think I would lean Sexton slightly over THT. But I just don't buy that there's nobody going to score like without Lowry. I know we didn't see a huge uptick the other night, but Keontae George definitely saw an uptick. Clarkson certainly got off to a nice start there. Collins got off to a horrible start. Otherwise, he might have gotten there, and Fontecchio paid off big time. So I don't know yet, but I think that I would try and lean on one of the guards with whether it be Keontae is the most obvious, but one of the other guards with Keontae even I think is a pretty good idea. This is really ridiculous. All right. So I don't understand what the hell this is. Really crazy. Sorry, Sheets. All right. Next. You all right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Next up, we have Houston, Denver.
No, I have Philly. New
My bad, I missed that one. Yep.
Yeah. So you can always make a case for Embiid, like regardless of price. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to him today, but like right now, let me see. Like right now, I mean, not too much. My early builds, I'm really not getting to him. So if I'm not getting to him, I don't know what else I'm going to do for this game. Anything in New Orleans, anything, nothing really. A little bit of Tobias Harris, maybe. I think this game is pretty much a pass for me. You like Valanciunas at all at 7K? I have no idea.
Yeah, not really. This is a tough game for me too because it's another one that I feel like could be targetable. Like New Orleans has been playing a little bit faster, and we don't know. Okay, so starting with Philadelphia, I actually think you're going to get no ownership on Embiid unless there's value. I'd be like if you could find a way to cram him in, be my guest. I don't see it being that easy to do. I think the idea of playing one of Covington or Batum for value makes a lot of sense just because we're going to need some value pretty much no matter how you build. So they definitely stand out as making some sense. Obviously, Maxey will be unowned, and both Maxey and Embiid are phenomenal tournament plays. Just how are you going to get to them? And you're probably going to have to use guys on their same team because Covington and Batum are two potential values that could at least pay off. So those would be the guys for me, I think, on Philadelphia. On New Orleans, they've struggled with power forwards, and I don't see Embiid guarding Zion. So I think Zion at low ownership is interesting. But again, it just gets into how are we going to be able to afford these guys? So as of right now, I can't get to anything on New Orleans. The really weird super brainchild play or whatever, over the top ridiculous play is playing Larry Nance and hoping that Joe Val, which he often does, especially against Embiid, gets into foul trouble. That's the creative play of the day. All right. What do we got next here, Sheets?
We have, what is next? I have Houston and Denver next.
All right, let's do it.
Jokic is still questionable. I don't know. I got a feeling he plays today. I just can't quite understand that.
It's just because he missed the last one, I think.
Yeah. What was it? Back spasms?
But it was really just a back-to-back.
Yeah, I don't know. Once again, like if I'm not getting the Embiid, I don't think I'm going to get to Jokic either at 12-8. Let me see what else I have here. But, you know, these other guys that we tend to play, like Jabari Smith, I'm getting a decent amount of him from Houston. Sengun again. The guy just freaking just kills it every night. I don't understand. So Jabari Smith, Sengun, maybe one of them sit. I don't know. I mean, yeah. How this is a tough back-to-back to go. Who'd they play yesterday? They played.
They didn't play us. Houston. Houston has a tough back-to-back. They played Dallas yesterday.
And now they go into Denver. I don't even think they're allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. The Denver back-to-back is a rough
That's
one.
nasty.
Yeah.
I don't think I can play these guys. That's really tough. They used to not even allow that, the back-to-back into Denver.
Well, you know, yeah. Well, what they disallowed was the Utah to Denver back-to-back.
Yeah.
They felt like that was too brutal. But they still will occasionally put teams on the second road of a back-to-back in Denver. And it's
I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, I sort of have a similar feeling you do. But really, like if you're Denver, so you have the real big questions are, does Jamal Murray and do Aaron Gordon play tonight?
Right.
Would you bring back these guys in a game that, you know, that's facing a team where they're on the second end of a back-to-back, you know, on the road? But they also got smashed by them the other day. So Denver got smashed by, and both Jokic and Sengun went off, of course. I think that I think these guys are going to play. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they played for Denver. I think that I actually think Murray might be more likely than Gordon, but we'll see later in the day probably on that. I'm going to assume Tari Eason is going to be out for Houston. I could be wrong, but they haven't, you know, they want to ease his minutes. So even if he plays, he's probably going to be somewhat limited, which is going to make Jabari Smith and Sengun look even better. Jalen Green, don't love jump shooters on a back-to-back. Look, man, it's a game that I want to do something with, but I cannot figure out for the life of me what that would be. So I guess hopefully we get the news on the Denver guys earlier in the day. That's my best way to put this one. And thanks to the guys who are in there, the decent people who are saying nice things about Sheets and saying happy birthday. That's more the kind of stuff we want to talk about in addition to DFS, not this insanity that these people are just throwing out here. And then of course we get the other nonsense. Anyway, hey, thanks a lot, Mark. Appreciate the good word, the kind of love, and let's make some money tonight. All right. Anyway, Sheets, we can close it out with the Clippers in Sacramento.
Yeah. So is this Everett Island? Yeah, it's like an hour after the last one. Boy, oh boy, you know what? It's a 230 total, which is, I mean, just as good as any total on the board. It's a pick'em spread. It's a late night game. So all these things kind of lead to wanting to play it. Not exactly sure who I want to play, though. I don't think I could pay 9,800 for Fox, like, for example. 6,100 for Herder. Boy, I have to look into this one because I kind of want to play this, but again, the individual pricing just seems like pretty efficient. Like I'm looking at the Clippers here. I'm getting 8,800, 7,800 Harden, 6,800. I don't know. You like anything in this game?
I'll be completely honest with you. I'm 99% sure somebody major is sitting for Sacramento. there is no way the Clippers can be 2-point favorites in Sacramento.
Again with the Clippers, huh?
It's been right every time. There's
Every
been
time.
That's
right, every time.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that the Clippers can't win the game, obviously, but like, how are they favored over Sacramento? And Sacramento just won by the way, unbelievable stuff last night. And all the stars played the extra minutes. They all tried to get the point spreads done. They were automatic Sheets. They were fouling Drummond. Did you see that with Boston? They're fouling Drummond, just to get the ball back. You know what I mean? Trying to win by enough. It was wild. So they just came off an emotional win last night against the Warriors. And it felt like a freaking playoff game, to be honest with you. I think somebody's sitting. I don't know who that is, but it's either going to be Sabonis or Fox based on the point spread. So whichever one of those guys is out is going to give a major boost to something. And we'll get some idea about it when they get announced questionable after morning shoot around, which is what's going to happen in about 2 hours. So we go, and then on the Clippers side, I think that, you can pick one. Paul George, just because he's a little more expensive, is a little harder for me to get to. But look, you can pick one of Kawhi Leonard or James Harden. I think they're both very solid plays. Harden was absolutely awful for me the other night. Kawhi was the one I should have gone with. I actually had the money to get to Kawhi and left him out, which was really brutal because I was like on the cash bubble. I would have been like top 10 in some of the single entries and stuff. Really frustrating. But anyway, I do like Kawhi. I would rank it probably Kawhi than Harden because it seems like they are trying to go to Kawhi more. But the matchup seems to favor Harden more because I like, I don't know. I just feel like I have the ball in his hands. So I like both of those guys a little bit to run back with whatever stuff we get from Denver. And just be aware when you start seeing the Q tags pop up for Sacramento. I keep saying Denver. I would probably treat, if it's a stud, I would treat it like they're going to be out because there is no way you're putting the Clippers as a favorite in Sacramento, all things being equal at the moment. That's just simple as that. Especially, I know it's a back-to-back for Sacramento, but they didn't go anywhere. Like, I don't know. I can't. It means somebody's sitting, or at least Vegas thinks they are. So I have my priorities. The 4 guys at the beginning of the day that may not look great by the end of the day, but Desmond Bane or Triple J probably going to be in each of my lineups as of this moment. Gafford, Ivy, Jabari Smith. That would be my cash game starting guys. I like playing one of Friends or Paolo. I like the LeBron idea from Sheets, but I also think you can make a good case for AD. Reeves or Russell. And then the whole Utah-Minnesota game. And then we have the big question mark with what do we do LAC and Sacramento because it's a late game. And while we might see guys questionable, the projections aren't going to update for them to be out and we're not going to have starting lineups. And I'm just speculating, but it's, I've done this in a long time and it's usually pretty accurate when you see a line that makes no sense that someone's going to sit when they're playing a back-to-back. So, and they may not, by the way, they may not sit, but Vegas thinks they're going to sit, which is usually accurate. Any overall thoughts, Sheets, before we get out of here?
No, sounds good.
All right. Good luck to everybody. We'll be live at 6 Eastern. And thanks for all the birthday wishes. Let's make some money, guys.